This is the Lindstrom Family, as though there was any doubt, yes. Produced and directed by Ray Lindstrom, and another of my series of family home movies. These were taken from 1970, starring Diane, Ray, who else? Barry, of course, and Karen. Aha! We're ready for lots of action, starting in January 1970. Wow! Action and excitement are ahead. I can tell that. And what do we have here? We have backyard fun. Wow! Everybody's excited about this. Look at there, it's baby Karen. Hi, sweetie pie, how you doing? What a nice little girl. Now, see, this was 1970, and Karen was born in November of 1968, so therefore she is probably a little over a year old. Not much over a year, a little over a year old. There's my silhouette, and there's my daughter. You can see me taking the movies here. Don't see much of me on here because I'm the guy always taking the movies. Now, this all takes place at our home at 6537 East Cypress in Scottsdale. This is just east of 64th Street between Thomas and McDowell. Got a little hoop in the backyard there. And there's Barry, my son. Barry is, in 1970, he is about 4 years old, around there, 3 to 4 years old, playing in the mud. Nothing like good mud to play in, you know. Get your trucks out there. And Karen, the cute little gal, in the pink outfit, she wants to get in the mud too. Come on, let's have some fun. Let's have some mud fun. And there's Diane. Come on, Diane, get in the mud too. Well, I guess she's not going to. Anyway, Diane and I were married in 1964 in Glenview, Illinois. And so now, this is 1970, so we've been married 6 years. How do you like that? Oh, and Barry's going to take a picture of Karen. I think that's very nice. A budding photographer right there. Yes, I wish the backyard looked a little bit nicer, but that's one thing about me. I was not a great backyard type, fix-it-up, grow stuff type person. Now we've got Barry and Ray are going to play basketball. Well, this is great. Now, see, we do go to the Phoenix Suns basketball games. Now we've got a hoop in the backyard, and we're going to test that. Oh, man, look at that. 2 points right there. Here comes Ray. Oh, he's going to do a dunk. Boy, these are great basketball players, aren't they? We used to have, we had season tickets to the Phoenix Suns games, and I remember they started out being $6 a piece, and we gave them up when they were $300 a piece a few years ago. They did grow up in value. There's no question about that. Anyway, this was the time when I was working at Channel 12 as a salesman at KTAR TV, the NBC affiliate in Phoenix. And I was a pretty good salesman, and I was selling a lot and doing real well in those days. Let's see, in 1970, I was almost 30 years old. I was 29 years old. Had our young family there, just having a good time. Yes, indeed. What could be wrong with that? And there's a nice swing set we put up in the backyard, which, by the way, had to build with my own hands and wrenches and fists and fingers, and boy, I tell you, that was tough. You know what, I was always good at electrical stuff and computer stuff, but not so hot when it came to that real mechanical things, not so good. But I did manage to get that together where it actually held up and like that. Now we've got a title here. What does it say? Weekend trip to Payson. Snow, January 1970. Oh boy, I don't think the kids have ever seen snow before, and so this is going to be the first time for them. There's our front patio. Let's put away all the stuff and go to Payson. Is everybody ready? So let's bundle up and get out of here. Let's see, what car are we going to take? Wonder if we'll be taking that fabulous new Dodge Charger of mine. Ooh, look at that blue, metallic blue. Oh boy, that was the first nice car I ever got. I was so happy about that. Love that Dodge Charger. It was fabulous. Well, here we are up north near Payson. I think we're going to have a picnic. This is up not too far from Cole's Ranch up there. It was a great place to go, really was. There's Diane. She's getting stuff out of the trunk. Yeah, her coat, because it's mighty cold out here. But we're going to have some fun today on this picnic. Yes, indeed. Used to take trips up to Payson. Oh, there's part of that famous Strollo chair there. You see that chair that Karen's in? That was the thing that we bought, that we paid about $100 for right before Barry was born, when the guy came out with his film of kids being mauled and killed in all kinds of home accidents, and we felt like we just had to have that. That's one of those things that you buy and then you're sorry you did. But I suppose it kept the kids safe anyway. That's a good thing. Ah, yes, we're going to eat. We're going to have a delicious meal right here. Now, Diane, I think this was about the time, I think, that she started back to school. I think she was going to Arizona State, getting a few credits here and there so that she could get her bachelor's degree and then go on to law school, which she did. And she would eventually get her law degree and become a good lawyer. In fact, she worked many years for the State Compensation Department. There's my daughter. Hi, cutie pie. How are you? Can you smile, huh? Oh, she can smile. I'm not sure she exactly knew what the meaning of the word smile was. Remember, there's one film where I try to keep saying smile, and all she does is blink her eyes. Oh, there she is. That famous Strollo chair there. I think we're going to go somewhere. Oh, the swingers. Here we go. We're back from Payson, and now we're going to see what we do probably in the backyard. Oh, yes, there they are. And one of my very hippy-dippy films here of all the kids that are swinging. Now, there must be kids other than my two kids, because it seems I see more people on the swing than that. I wish I could identify them. But unfortunately, it's a little bit dark here. You know, this was the thing about movies in those days. And by the way, I think by now I have my brand new Bauer camera. Cost me about $200. Had a nice zoom on it. Got good quality pictures. But the one thing was, you still, oh, I think that's the little gal who lived next door, the West's daughter. What was her name? West. I can't remember her name, but anyway, she was a next door neighbor. And here we are in the backyard, but I have my brand new movie camera, that fabulous German Bauer movie camera. But the thing I was saying was that in those days, you had to do all the exposure yourself. You couldn't, there was no such thing as automatic exposure. So you had to look and see what the light was, and then you had to adjust the lens accordingly. So it was all manual control. Nothing automatic about this, that's for sure. Oh, now Mom's here to visit. There's my mother and Granny. That's Grace Lindstrom there. She was from Chicago. She grew up in Chicago and spent most of her life in Chicago. Now, this is still our backyard here, and there's my dad. Dad was a little bit younger than Mom. Graham and Gramp basketball. That's what we call it. And we say that this is before Belgium, because shortly after this, they moved to Belgium. My dad was the general manager of the Duval Esperanza copper mine in Tucson. And by the way, this is their place in Green Valley near Tucson. And this is where they lived right before they went to Belgium. My dad had a good job. He was the leading mining executive down there. And he ran the entire copper mine, had 1,000 or 2 employees. And then they asked him if he would go and be financial director of their operation in Belgium. So shortly after this, that's where they went. And that's why I say this is before Belgium. Those are the kids, my dad and Mom. Dad grew up in Two Harbors, Minnesota, up about 26 miles north of Lake Superior, north of Duluth on Lake Superior in Minnesota. And he was a good guy, a gentleman, and a gentle man. Just a real nice guy. Nobody could say anything bad about my dad. He was just a really, really fine person. And my mother was a fine person also. They're both fine people. Of course, what am I going to say? They're my parents. You know, you just say that they're nice people. Look at, they've got a nice owl above the door there. Anyway, so they're saying hello to their grandchildren. My mother passed away in 1988. And my dad passed away in 2013. He was just a couple weeks shy of his 97th birthday. Lived a long time. And one of the reasons for that was, let's see, there's a present for somebody. What is it? Oh, it's a travel kit. Perfect. This must be close to Mom's birthday, so I would say that this would probably be in June of 1970, okay? And down there's Green Valley, and those are the Santa Rita Mountains you see down there. Take a nice shot of the Santa Rita, that beautiful home there. Getting ready to go to Belgium. So this was the nice little travel kit that Diane decided that Mom needed. I'm sure was a lovely item. Mom and Dad met in 1937 at the Diversey Company in Chicago. My dad and Mom both worked there. Dad was in charge of the accounting department, and Mom was a secretary. And they met, and they've been together ever since. They got married in 1940. I came along in 1941. Isn't that exciting? And there's my little daughter. She came along in 1968, and I think there she is about a year and a half old. How about that? Yep, that's right. My little daughter and my dad. There they are. Nope, now we're going to take a vacation. August 1970. And we are going to Illinois. So the first thing we do is, got to get our stuff, put it in the car, including the kids, and have my good friend, Monty Kobe, drive us to the airport. Hey, Monty, how you doing? Monty was a great guy. He really was. He was my business partner in all kinds of deals, and he started Kobe's Swap Meet in San Diego, California, which to this day is still a fabulous going enterprise operated by his children. My friend, Monty Kobe. Here we are on the plane, taking TWA across the land, and we're going to land in the O'Hare Airport in Chicago. And we've landed, and there we are at the home of Helen and Gus Skyler and their son, Alan. There they are right there in front of the house. And there's my nice little red rental car. And this is in Glenview, Illinois, 2238. East Linneman Street, I believe, is the correct address. This is the summer of 2000, oh no, wait a minute, the summer of 1970, and my daughter is a little bit less than 2 years old, and my son is about 4, pretty close to 4 if it's June, and he was born in June, so yes, that's right, that's 4 months. Handshakes all the way around. Yep, you made it. How about that? And there's Grandma Helen Skyler. They were all nice people, they really were. They were friends of my parents long before Diane and I ever met, believe it or not, because my dad and his dad both worked in the accounting department at International Minerals and Chemical Corporation in Chicago, Illinois. How about that? Now, we were staying at a motel nearby, and so therefore everybody said, hey, let's go to the motel and go for a swim. See all those blondes there? Except for that guy. Look at that's Uncle Alan. It's my brother-in-law, Alan Skyler, really a great guy. And my son and daughter and wife having some fun in Illinois. I grew up in Illinois, actually. I was born at the West Suburban Hospital in Oak Park, Illinois, and at that time, my parents were living in a 3-story brownstone apartment on West Huron Street in Chicago. And we lived on the 3rd floor, and on the 1st floor, there were people, the Kemps, and their profession was they had monkeys that drove little cars out at Riverview Amusement Park. And so in the garage is where they kept their monkeys. I don't know if they violated any health laws or not, but yes, we had the Kemp's monkeys on the 1st floor. Well, about the time I was 5 years old, we moved to Geneva, Illinois, which is out on the Fox River. And that's where we stayed until 1950 when Dad says, hey, I want to move to Tucson. So we left and we moved to Tucson, and we lived in Tucson for about 6 months in 1950. And Tucson was a pretty small place in those days, you know. Tucson was about 50,000 people in 1950. If you know anything about Tucson, the farthest east you could do any shopping was at Alvernon and Speedway. There was a grocery store there. And beyond that, there wasn't much shopping at all. But I went to a small school, Tancaverde School, out in the Tancaverde area, and we lived at a guest ranch way out there, way out east. And it was a very poor area, and it was a very poor school. And there were 4 rooms, and they had 2 grades per room. And it was a real culture shock for me because it was a very poor area. Well, now we're going to go sailing with Charlie here. That's my buddy, Charlie Finster, who gave me a movie camera for my wedding. And he's an old college buddy of mine. We were roommates in college, and he's got a sailboat up on Browns Lake up in Wisconsin. So Diane and I, we left the kids with Mom and Dad, and we are going on, we're going to go sailing with Charlie. But anyway, I was telling you about going to Tancaverde School, and oh, it's a windy day, huh? Is it a little too windy for sailing? I don't know. We're going to find out, I guess. But anyway, when I got to school here, Tancaverde School, I discovered, about half the school, they were Hispanic kids, and they were very poor, and they rode burros to school. Can you imagine that, riding a burro to a school? Well, they did, and they tied it up and then rode the burro home at the end of the day. It was very unusual for this to see that from a kid who grew up in the suburbs of Chicago. Anyway, this is Charlie Finster. He and I and Bob Herring and Don Camerata were all roommates in college. Bob Herring, in 1968, was a helicopter pilot in Vietnam, and he was killed. Bob Herring was best man at my wedding in 1964. What a tragedy, that whole war. And he was killed in 1968 and shot down. And what a tragedy. Never got married, didn't have any kids, and I had this long life with kids and everything else, and a career. And what happened to Bob? He didn't enjoy all that because his life was cut short because of that Vietnam War. What a tragedy. Anyway, Charlie and I, we remained, and we kind of lost track of Don Camerata, but he and I have been friends to this day, and he went out, he got married. I was at his first wedding, and then his wife died of cancer many years later, and I was at his second wedding. And we're good friends to this day, and he stops by and visits me every once in a while in Tucson. But we're having a good time out here on Browns Lake Resort in, a little chubby there, wasn't I? My goodness. Browns Lake Resort in Wisconsin. I always like to go to Wisconsin. It was a lot of fun. Nice people up there. Good cheese, too, by the way. Now we're going to have some fun, and I thank Diane for taking these pictures. Diane and I, these are happy times for us, but I'm sorry to say that in 1980, I separated from Diane, and in 1982 we got a divorce, and she passed away a few years ago, and she had cancer. But she was a fine woman. She was smart as a whip. We had great communication, and things happen, sometimes, and something happened to us. So, which, by the way, was all my fault. I have nobody to blame but myself. So I'm sure it was hard on the kids and hard on her, but we all got through it all right. She was a nice woman. God rest her soul. But back at Browns Lake Resort here, and then we got home again after our trip up to the lake. And Barry's got an airplane of some sort there, running out in the street. Not much traffic here. We don't have to worry too much about that. This is in Glenview, Illinois. Nice place. They had a wonderful place there. Let's spin that propeller and see that plane take off. But be careful, because we don't want to hit your little sister in the head. Isn't she darling, though? Wow. That's the backyard. They had a lovely backyard. There's Gus. Gus spent his whole life in the accounting department, at International Minerals and Chemical Corporation in Illinois. A little backyard fun here. Yeah, it was actually quiet for about 30 seconds. Isn't that amazing? Everybody was saying, gee, that was nice. Why don't you try to be quiet a while longer? That is, if anybody is still paying any attention to this whatsoever. Oh, look at that. Isn't that nice? Brother and sister hugging out there, see? Ah, yes. Now, when I tell Barry later on in about 5 years, okay, walk your sister to school and make sure she's okay, he'll go, ah. Oh yes, oh careful, hit him in the head. What are we doing? Is that a softball or a croquet ball? I'm not sure which. I know that we end up playing croquet here pretty soon. Yes, oh, there we go, softball, oh boy. Yes, well, the Lindstroms never were such good, so good at sports. Actually, we were better at winter sports than anything. My dad was a great hockey player, and I never was too good at anything, but I learned to ski later on in life, and I did like that, I must say. And actually, I got fairly decent at it. I think it's part of our Scandinavian heritage that skiing is good for us, isn't that right? Yep. We have a natural talent for that. Yeah, let's. I think the most important thing is here. This is part of Ray Lindstrom teaching his daughter how to operate a cash register. I think that'll come in handy for all the various promotions that I get involved in the future. That's right. Okay, we're going to get in the boat. Now, is that a boat or a swimming pool? Not exactly sure I know which. Ooh, we're going to get some good food. I have a feeling we got some good barbecue coming up here. Wow. We're looking forward to that. Yes, indeed. Nothing like backyard fun. Boy, I tell you, when I had that camera in my hand, I just couldn't control myself. If I had a camera and there was some movement in front of me, I had to pull the trigger and take the pictures. I just had to. You know, that was just something that was mandatory. Why couldn't I be selective? You know, 10 seconds of this, 10 seconds of that, 5 seconds of this. No way. No, we just wanted to get lots and lots of home movies, because I know that in the future people will enjoy seeing these fabulous films here. Maybe we can even get them on Turner Classic Movies one of these days. Ooh, I kind of doubt that. But anyway, that's our Lindstrom family special home movies from 1970. Thanks for watching.